live now. I don't stay in California. First, I want to thank Yolanda for inviting me to come and speak to you guys. Just hearing how everybody talks about Peaches, I feel like I know her. I never got a chance to meet her. Even people that aren't here that I've questioned, I'm like, you know Peaches? And it's like, they'll tell me, they're like, guess what? You're kind of like Peaches. And I'm like, well, then I know exactly how she was. So for me, what I want you guys to do, whether you are positive in this room or not, I want you to take a second and just, I want you guys to just think for a second, whether you're positive or not, you're negative. Look at the person sitting next to you and think to yourself, do I really know if the person sitting next to me is negative or positive? And this is what I tell teens and young adults when I go out and I speak. I have them to do that because I want them to understand that no matter how someone looks or how they're dressed, that you will never know what someone has. That's right. And I stress to them the importance of knowing what stigma is. Because you can look at somebody and say, oh, they look like they only 100 pounds. They might have this, they might have AIDS, they might have that. But you'll never know. And from hearing about Peaches, I hear that she loved to reach out to the community in any way she could. She stressed the importance of prevention and the importance of if you are positive and you're not in care, you need to be in care. And that's kind of how I do. I was diagnosed, like you said, in 2007, I was diagnosed. I was infected by the person I was married to. He knew his status since 2002, didn't disclose his status to me, and at my prenatal lab appointment is when my doctor told me, you're HIV positive. So I took that. I could have went in depression. I could have probably, like he was going over the statistics of suicide, I could have been one of those statistics. But I said, you know what? I went through my stage degree. And I was just talking to Miss Gloria when I came in. I said, you know, people go through these different stages. I said, okay, I'll go through this depression stage. But when I get to this acceptance stage, that's when I'm living. That's when I know that not only am I going to be living with this virus, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that everybody who is negative knows why they do not want to be HIV positive.
All right.
That's what my mission has been from day one. My very first speaking engagement was to a group of pregnant women. Some positive, some negative, but I didn't look at any of them as if they were positive. I spoke to them as if they were negative and let them know the things that I went through, I don't want you to go through that. When I go out and I speak to teens and young adults and anybody at any age, I let them know the importance of getting tested and knowing your status because you just never know. And it's a lot of times when I go out and I meet people and I'll speak and they'll come up to me after this and say, you know what? You woke me up. Because they may have been in that depression state. They may have been in a point of not wanting to take their medicine. But because I showed them and I told them why it's important, you have to go and do this. You have to. And I stand up here and tell you, look, a lot of people in here who know me, they know I have not always been one to comply with my doctor. I'm stubborn, I'm Taurus.
Amen.
So they know that I definitely am one who has been through that. And as recent as the beginning of this year, I literally went through, I remarried. I did remarry in 2013. And through that marriage, I endured more. You think that you went through something, you think that you dealt with the heartache and the pain of just finding out you're HIV positive, to turn around to meet someone who puts you in an even worse situation that involves domestic violence and a lot of other things. And I got to the point I was like, I don't want to take this medicine. I feel fine. And I'm also a diabetic. So to not even, to stand up there and not want to take my medicine, whether it was the HIV medicine, whether it was the diabetic medicine. And I say, you know what? Once I remove myself from that situation, I said, you know what? I got to call my doctor. I called my doctor, went in February. Now here I am. I think I'm pretty tough. But to have the realization in my face that I could go to this doctor and this doctor could tell me that I'm no longer HIV positive, that I have AIDS, was a real serious reality check for me. So when I went into that doctor's office, she said, okay, well, your viral load is 208. That's okay. It's not undetectable, but it's not in the thousands. She said, your CD4 count is 280. I said, I don't want that. I said, you know what? I say, I got you. That's what I told her. I say, from when I left that office that night, I started taking my medicine again. I started taking my HIV medicine. I started taking my diabetic medicine. She said, well, I'm going to give you a cholesterol just to prevent you from getting cholesterol problems. I say, well, I guess I'll take that too. So I took that, and I've been doing it. And that's why I tell people, I've been through all that. And just like Elder said, like Elder Harris said, and I wrote it down because I did not want to forget and say it the wrong way. The first thing he said, things don't just happen.
Amen.
Things don't just happen. I could find a million reasons or an excuse as to why I ended up HIV positive. I could say, oh, well, maybe I should have told him, let me see your paper. I could say, instead of going by this man's word, this man that I love, this man that I trusted, going by his word in front of his doctor, going by his word, I should have said, let me see your paper. I did. I could have done so many things. But I feel like for me having this disease, I'll never use it as a crutch. I'll never say, oh, I have it, I need this or need that. What I use this for is what I feel God is using me to do with it.
Amen.
And a lot of you have met my mom before. I told my mom has never, I grew up in church every day of the week. And my mom will tell you, my mom has never really heard me talk the way I do talk now. And I tell her all the time, I say, you know what? I feel like God, I'm not going to say that God gave me this disease because I'll never say that. But once I became positive, he said, okay, you know what? I'm going to use her.
Amen.
And that's what he's been doing. He's used me. And he's still using me. I said, you know what? Okay, God, you using me. I started speaking. I started going around, sharing my story. A lot of people in here know my story deeper than I shared it tonight. And I said, you know what? What you want me to do next? A lot of you in here have my book. If you have my book, then you already know how deep that book goes. I said, okay, that's step one. So now I say, you know what? I start looking at these stats. I'm looking at the statistics. I'm keeping up with it. I say, oh my God, teens and young adults. I'm like, I literally sit there sometimes and read these stats and I'm in tears because I'm like, what in the world is going on? Just like we said, in Tallahassee, what are they really? They're not doing nothing. It's a money game.
Yes.
Sometimes. That's how it seems. When you're on the outside looking in, they're like, why only knew what we doing. Because I was just telling Alicia, I said sometimes I get 4 or 5 hours of sleep because my mind will not stop racing of the things that I want to do for this community.
Amen.
Every time I'm doing something. So I say, you know what? I'm going to reach out to these teens.
Yes.
I just finished writing a teen book. All fictional stories, but I want the teenagers to understand that, yes, it's all fun and games. It's okay to go out. It's okay to live this lifestyle that you might see in the rap videos, music videos, and anywhere. But don't wait until it happens to say, what do I do now? Before you lay down and you have that unprotected sex, before you decide you want to do drugs and use a needle with somebody else,
come on.
You need to know this is why you don't do that. This is why you shouldn't do it. Mm-hmm. What you should do is go and get tested. Yes. The number one thing I stress to anybody who's negative, before you have any type of contact with anyone, know their status. Not for them, for you. Anybody can tell you, oh, I'm good, I'm clean, I don't have anything. And guess what? Got everything in the world.
Amen.
But because you did not take that one step, and I don't regret that I didn't ask him to see his paper, but that's why I take that experience and I use it and I tell everybody else, listen, I don't care what they say. If you don't see that paper, then guess what? And if they don't want to go get tested, I tell you, look, you don't want to go get tested, then I'll see you later. Okay. Mm-hmm. Because I'm not going by your word. Your word means nothing to me. If I don't see this paper, and I tell the doctor straight up, look, we're going to see our paper together. Because I don't want no photocopy. I want to see the real thing. I want to see the ink running. You know, so that's why it's very important to let people, that's why I stress all the time. Yes, I love my fellow people, everybody who's positive just like me. I love you guys. But I have to make sure that we don't add to the numbers.
Come on.
When I go out, I make sure that they know, yes, there's other people out here just like me. But we want you to stay just how you are.
Yes.
We want you to know exactly why it's important to educate yourself. Not to educate yourself in the event you might become positive, but to educate yourself so you can stay positive. So that when you do have children, your children grow up, you can tell your children, hey, this is why I want you to stay positive and stay negative as my child. And so on. Because that's not what's happening. I wish I could get into these Duval County public schools.
I know that's right.
Like, listen, like nobody business.
Amen.
I tried. I kid you not. I emailed every single high school in this city.
Amen.
They don't want to hear it at all.
Keep on trying.
But you know what? That's okay. Because guess what? I don't have a problem going out and walking.
Amen.
And going out and, look, my mama tell you, I can stand in the store and I can hear a group of somebody talking about a story they heard about, oh, y'all heard about this so-and-so on the news, done slept with somebody and might have affected them, and I might hear the wrong thing. I pop up. You know, you don't really need to just say, oh, everybody got AIDS. I say, you know, there is a certain thing as HIV. Because they want to classify everybody, y'all AIDS. Really? That's what I see. Let me tell you a little something. And that's when I break it down to them. Once I break it down to them, like, I had no idea. I got people to this day that I meet that didn't even know there was a such thing as a female condom. I say, what you mean? You how old? You 54, and you didn't know? And I show them. I pull it out of my phone. I say, look, this right here. It's all about education.
Amen.
Education, prevention, that's where it's at.
Amen.
So to hear all the things that Evelyn did in her lifetime, like when he was up there talking, I was like, man, is he talking about me? I was like, wait a minute, he gotta be talking about me, but no, he talking about Peaches. that's something, like, I've never met her, but to have that same kind of drive,
Yes.
it gave me chills.
Amen.
It gave me chills to know that I'm not alone in wanting to make sure that the community stays negative.
Yes.
So to stand up here in front of you guys and to share what my goal is and my aspirations, I'm honored. I'm so honored.
Amen.
And I was just sharing with a couple people now. I have had my nonprofit foundation since 2013. And everything you can think of has been going on in my life. But on September 15th, to get a letter in the mail from the IRS saying you were approved to be a 501c3 nonprofit organization. I said, you know what? Oh, I'm about to kick all these shit. I said, I'm about to go in.
Amen.
I'm going in. Because there's so much that needs to be done. You think that it's so many of us in the community that's doing so much. It's like, you know what, I don't even care what the, I'm like, you know what, I come over here. Here I say, come on, let's go do this. Come on, let's do that. I don't care who it is. We all fight for the same thing.
Yes.
For the same goal.
Yes.
So I'm telling you now, if you want to get, look, if you ready to put your boots on and get to going, I'm ready.
Amen.
That's why I say, you know what, I got to do this team book. I got to do this. Anything that God tells me to do, I'm going to do it.
Amen.
I have a friend right now. He's an actor. He's been in a lot of Tyler Perry movies. At one point, he would hear God talking. God was telling him, you need to go do this audition. You need to go do that audition. He was like, and I just was not listening. I wasn't listening. I wasn't doing this. All of a sudden, I say, okay. I told him, I used his method. I say, okay, guess what? One day, you're going to answer that text message from God. And once you start answering those text messages, listen, the blessings started pouring out.
Amen.
So that's what I took into my own life. I said, you know what? Whatever God tells me to go and do, I'm going to do it. If the devil get in the way, guess what? He's going to get kicked right on out the way.
Amen. Amen. Amen.
I have never always been perfect. But one thing I know through my whole, on November 21st, it'll be 9 years.
Awesome.
Since that doctor told me my status. And not one time have I said, you know what? I don't want to do this. It's almost like it's embedded in me. It's a part of my DNA to want to do what I'm doing.
Amen.
It's a passion. It burns deep. So I'm going to leave y'all with this. Anybody that's sitting out here, if you have a dream, if you have a goal, an aspiration, anything you want to do, achieve, whether it's being the most awesome advocate you can be in this world, do it.
Amen.
Don't let anybody tell you what you can't do. My doctor told me, well, you HIV positive, your twins came out negative. Why do you want more kids? Guess what? I have a 2-year-old daughter. Because God said I can have a 2-year-old daughter. Not because this doctor told me, no, you don't need to have no more. I said, you know what? I almost told that, get out of my face. Anything you want to do. And I think I was telling Alicia a minute ago, I had a friend that just recently passed like this week. Born positive. I don't even think she had turned 21 years old. And she ended up with pneumonia. I was already a person that had real bad asthma. And that thing tore me up something bad. Because even though I know all of you, the ones who I know who are positive, I know you. But to know somebody who actually passed, that was the first person I had known personally that actually passed.
Yeah.
And I said, you know what? For her, I'm never going to stop.
Amen. Amen.
Because she didn't stop.
Mm-hmm.
She was already out there doing her stuff before me. When she heard my story, she treated me as I was a celebrity. And I'm like, but you the celebrity because you already doing it.
Amen.
So for her, to hear her tell me, Bird, I love what you're doing. For her to give me that boost and that drive, I'm never I'm telling you guys, no matter what you're doing, you might feel like, oh, I'm doing it and it's nothing happening. Nothing is happening. It's going to happen. What do the Lord say? You know what? Sometimes you got to sit back and you got to let me work.
Yes.
When you sit back and let the Lord work,
Yes.
and you sit back, sit on your hands. You don't have to head out the way and move. You got to let Him work.
Amen.
Once you let Him work and you let yourself,
Amen.
what I just said over there, when you give yourself fully, not halfway, not over here, but when you give Him 100% of you, there's no amount of blessings too big or too small that's going to pour out.
My God.
So that's what I want to leave you guys with tonight.
Amen.
Wow.
Awesome.
Oh, and one last thing. I do have cards because, like I said, I have the foundation, so I do have business cards for my foundation. And there's some flyers that she's going to pass around. What I'm doing, because I'm trying to get everybody in a little interactive with awareness.
Amen.
So online, I have Facebook and Twitter. What I'm doing starting November 1st is a campaign. And look, I Googled, I said, I'm going to make sure nobody else using this slogan. And it's called Live Healthy, Get Tested.
Amen. Amen.
That's all right.
Amen.
And so I'm starting at November 1st. And what it is I have 3 questions that I have on the website for people to answer those questions and submit.
Okay.
Because what I'm going to do for World AIDS is I'm going to take all of the responses that I get and I'm going to make a campaign video.
Amen.
But I'm also going to be taking the top 5 submissions that I get. They're going to be featured on my foundation's website.
Amen.
So she's going to pass that around and has the information on it. And like I have on there, no answer to any of the questions is right or wrong.
Amen.
It's what you feel. So when you go on that website and see those questions, you're like, okay, I see what she means when she say it's what you feel. Because it's basically saying, okay, why is it important for me to live a healthy life? And that's personal to you. Why is it important? You may have cancer. Why is it important for someone who has cancer to live a healthy life? Why is it important for someone with lupus to live, it's something to make it more personal to you. And I'm going to take those and I'm going to do it. And I'm trying, listen, I told y'all, when God send me something, I do it.
Amen.
That's something God sent me. I was like, wait a minute, what you say? Live healthy, get tested. I'm looking like, okay, I got you. So I want you guys to take a look at it. And if you want to submit on November 1st, it's going to be for 2 weeks that I have people submitting. If you want to submit to it, do so. You can remain anonymous. You can make a little note and say, hey, I'm putting my name here so you know it's me, but I want to be anonymous. I'm okay with that. It's all about getting the message out.
Amen.
That's what it's all about.
Amen.
So thank you all.